with the very, very special and famous Krista Mollion.
You did it. You did it.
Did I do it? Okay, good. I got it right.
Thank you for having me on the show. I love it.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to have you. So much so that we didn't talk prior. We didn't discuss what we're going to talk about. We're just going to run with it. And I don't think that there's anybody better to run with it with me than you. So I wanted to have you on for a while. But I know that what the impetus of me asking recently was you had sort of an announcement and you did a YouTube, and I was like all into your announcement. And then I said, let's go and talk about what's going on in your life. So will you sort of introduce yourself and then give us a little insight into what you got going on? I know there's tons, but whatever you want to share.
Yeah. So where do I even start? So I'm from California, but I've been in France for the past year because I think COVID disrupted my life more than some people's, because I physically went to France for what I thought was going to be 2 months and ended up staying here. My dad ended up dying from COVID. So big family tragedy. And then I decided to put my toddler in school here and hang out here until COVID was sure, because that was the time when in America, there's the elections happening, there's protests happening. It sounded like complete chaos. So I was like, here in France, at least I don't feel any of that. And I'm in the mountains. But the good news is that I've been able to pretty much run my business. So what I'm doing is one-on-one coaching. And I like to say I'm not really a coach. I'm an entrepreneur who was able to build an 8-figure agency in San Francisco. And now I'm working with clients to try to replicate that success, like distill some of the principles of growth, like solid business principles that helped me build a really successful agency. So I work one-on-one with businesses. Love that, because I really love helping people own their careers. You hear people like, oh, I'm waiting for promotion, or I'm stuck in this job. I'm going to hold it out for another 2 years and then this will happen. And I'm like, who knows if you have 2 years? Like, losing my dad made me another reminder why I do what I do. I mean, I want people to be really fully in control of their careers, which means you don't wait on anyone. You just keep going. You're building an empire. You're building all kinds of sources of revenue. You're creating, and that enables you to be fully in control of your career. And I think you can do this in a professional setting, but it's a little bit harder because of the way business companies are organized, right? The hierarchical pyramid.
Yeah.
So, I wish we could make it, I wish we could flatline it and make it more like, you hired me because I'm an expert in this. Let me do my job.
Right.
And let's communicate as partners, like all of us partner up, instead of the pyramid where you feel like, I'm doing this, it doesn't make any sense, but my boss wants me to. Or,
Now, Krista, do you start with a lot of like mindset work with people? Because I'm thinking that a lot of, compared to like what I do, talking to people about confidence and self-worth and realizing that they need to value their time and what they're making and what they're doing and creating. I would think you'd be instilling a lot of that. Is that part of it?
Totally. But I
Brad
like to
says
think,
hi. Hi, Brad.
Hey, Brad. Hello. I like to think, Annie, that mindset should be integrated into everything we do. So what's sad is to think that we're talking about stuff like courage, authenticity, positive mindset as something extra.
Yeah.
And that's why I always like to say, if you work with me, mindset will be built into the program. Like we'll talk about gratitude, mantras, vision boards. All of that is part of like meditation to calm the mind, to really visualize yourself in the future with your goals achieved. And I love to say, like, you should be able to visualize yourself down to what clothes you're wearing, what tea you're drinking, like how do you feel as a successful business owner, right?
Right. Hi, Kirk. Right. I like to pull up comments, but keep going. I'm listening.
So I think, what, are you okay, Ivy? Ivy, come say hi, because I'm on the show. This is the beauty of working at home with a toddler.
Yeah, I have the same thing. I had last night, my daughter was playing Toca Boca, like right next to me while I was doing a live.
Here.
Hello, beautiful. How are you?
She's doing well, except she hurt her nose. A boy pushed her.
Oh no. Well, that is not okay. Do I have to beat somebody up? Hi, sweetheart.
It just happened really fast. He wasn't even paying attention. Ran past her and boom. Huh? See? We're on the show. Oh, she wants to know if you have any animals, puppies.
I do. I have a puppy.
Yeah?
I can bring him up in a little bit. He's downstairs with my son who's not feeling well.
Oh, yeah, it's still that time of the year. No, it's great. It's really great though on LinkedIn. I feel like people are craving more of the mindset, authenticity, being real. And honestly, I've been criticized in a helpful way, which means I get DMs regularly from people who say, I'm just watching out for you, or I feel like maybe you're oversharing, you're being too open about yourself. For example, I hear when you share negative things that happened to you in your past that were, adversity or hardships, people won't want to hire you.
I can't tell you how much that resonates with me, that there is such a line that some people misconstrue about boundaries and what that means. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're hiding your past. Like, I do not want to hide my past with mental health. I don't want to hide my past with any of it. I have a story to tell, and all of that makes me me. All of the struggle and overcoming that I've had makes me who I am and why I'm able to do what I do every day. I didn't just show up on the scene and say I get your problems. It's because I've been through all of it, Well, so it's that relatability.
It's intimidating. I think, here's my opinion on this. I feel like we're being set up for this perfect world already. The whole Photoshop, Instagram, happy life. When in reality, life is full of there's the persona we create online, and then there's the real us. Amen. And I've just decided it should be the same person.
Totally. Right? There's just not a whole lot of space in between how I show up to dinner downstairs and how I show up online on my show. And I get a lot of good feedback about that. However, I totally understand what you mean, where there's always somebody, it's almost like a little passive aggressive sometimes. There's somebody that's just looking out for you, you're giving away too much, or, people aren't going to want to do business with you. And it's wait a minute. If they don't want to do business with me because I struggled with depression and anxiety and was misdiagnosed and had all of these ups and downs and built my life back brick by brick, and here I am in front of you. If they don't want to do business with me because of that, not to be rude, but I don't want to do business with them.
Amen for that, because the truth is that they have problems just like everyone, but they've just decided to live in this bubble. You're just showing this persona of yourself. And the problem that I see with that is that when you meet the person, you want to fully trust them. And then when you realize that they've kind of they've maybe not outright lied, but they've held back some very important detail. And you're like, well, I don't even trust you anymore because I don't know the real you. And I don't like that disconnect. I'd rather be upfront with my flaws. And also, I think I'm on a fight against the stigma around mental health, around failure. So I'm thinking about creating a weekly Failure Fridays.
I like that.
Where I'm let me share stories of my failure and let me
how I failed.
To tell me about your failures, because we're always looking at those posts of, I just quit my job and then I made $20,000 in 4 days and now and I didn't know what I was doing. I love that.
I have a six pack,
and I didn't have any experience. It just fell into my lap.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real here. That's what I do have to tell you. I see posts like that, but that's why what really resonates with me so much about our LinkedIn community, and you and I travel in the same communities on LinkedIn. I have to say, I know that this is going to sound redundant because I've just been saying it, but the outpouring of support that I feel from this platform. I mean, I go through my comments and I cry to a lot of them, and I'm not it's so overwhelming, the amount of love and support from this community, that it really resonates with me. I think, at least the people I'm in this circle with, where we are just real and we show up and we tell our failures, like you're saying, and where it's not this fake. And I mean, anybody like that's really putting on that front, you know, I just kind of don't associate with. It's not all about what's going so fabulously. Let me tell you what's going, I'm big on that. Let me tell you what's going wrong.
Right. Well, also, I always think that, resilience is built by adversity and hardship. So if you have never, like, I count my blessings for every bump in the road, because I think like all the things that have happened in my 20 years of being a business owner, I've been cheated, out of money. I've had dubious clients who clearly were not honest. I've had people steal some of my work and then repost it, like plagiarism. So whenever I hear all these new business owners, and like, oh, I'm a business coach, and I'm like, that's really good, but have you actually run a business? Have you had those experiences? Because I can see 10 feet ahead of things that you can't even anticipate happening. But I'm like, we need to protect you because, I want to stay on the good path. And they're like, oh, I would never imagine that. I'm like, oh, imagine, because I've had so much happen.
Well, so that's the thing. The reason people want to work with you, Krista, is because you show up as you are. Just what I just said, like those experiences in our lives, I think make people want to say, you know what, I mean, at least the people I want to work with say, I want to work with her. I want to do this business with her because she gets it. I hear that a lot. You probably do too. You get it.
One of the questions I want everyone to eliminate from the vocabulary is how are you, or how's business? Because the way that we ask that, I don't know about you, but when I hear that right away, I kind of sit up straighter and I kind of get defensive. Like, everything's good. I'm very busy.
Right. You have to put on the front. Right.
And so there's something about those two questions that trigger me. And it's maybe the way you ask someone, like, how are you really? Add a little extra, but take the time, because if you really ask that question, be ready for a real answer. It shouldn't be a chit chat question.
It's a BS question, and it's like you don't have any time for that. I get it. Like, when I ask people how they are, I genuinely would like to hear an answer how they are. But I mean, I think a lot of people, it's sort of just like a common thing that you say. And hold on, we have some comments. I don't want to leave everybody out, so hang on one second. As a previous recruiter, I always told my clients that we're hiring, they should never not hire someone because of their background or a gap in work history. Well, that's really good advice. Unfortunately, it's not how a lot of people do things. And it really needs to be, because especially, I don't want to say especially as a woman, but particularly as a woman that took off time to have babies and a family, why am I supposed to be worried about that gap time in my resume?
We're penalized.
I was working.
We really are penalized, and it's sad. It's really, I think that today, in my opinion, men are trying really, really, really hard to be supportive. I don't hardly know any jerks. Like you said, we have a great community, so I'm mostly surrounded in my personal life, in my social life. Like, if there's a jerk in the vicinity, I'm out of here. Like, they're not going to be long in my circle.
Who's got time for it? Exactly.
So the men I know are really supportive of women in the workplace. But the thing that I heard on a podcast the other day really struck a chord with me about equality for Women, International Women's Day a week ago. The conversation in this podcast was, the guest was saying, is there such a thing as equality? Because maybe what I want in my career, like my idea of success as a male, or as I don't know, not even about sex, it could be about any criteria, is not the same as the person sitting next to me.
Exactly. Everything isn't the most even. It's not about evenness. It's about fairness, right? There's different measurements.
But the thing is, not everyone wants to be a leader. So when we're like, well, we need more women in leadership positions, we need more women, minorities. And I agree completely, but we shouldn't take that as the first criteria to assume that that's what they want. We should look at people like a rainbow, like maybe I'm like, you know what? I just want to stay home with my kids, or I want to freelance for a few years so that I can be around my kids.
Why am I making excuses for that?
Why are we like, we need to be more, we need to listen more to what people are talking
and open-mindedness.
Because we're just like, well, you need to be like this and this. And I'm like, who are you to tell me what to do or you what to do, right?
That's because you and I don't fit very well in boxes.
I
When they
think
try to put me in a box, I don't fit very well. So I have a couple of, Brad says, be who you are. It's being relatable, vulnerable, and genuine. That's who I want to connect with.
I'm still on my call. You can come. No, I'll play with you in a little bit. I think she's playing with her dolls. She already brought me one. This is
nice baby girl you have. Oh, she brought you one?
I know, it's
so
crazy.
Steph says the postcard effect, courtesy of social media. I never heard it called that. Crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I guess it's like everything's like on a postcard. I like that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I've come to understand people are either judging or empathetic. So in a way, when you and I post more open, vulnerable content, it's interesting because people's reactions tell a lot about who they really are.
Sure.
So if someone comes back really judgmental right away, then you can assume that that's how they are in all their life, with their private, with their professional life. And another person is like open-minded and like, wow, that must have really been difficult for you. That's an empath. And I can spot them more and more quickly, like by their comments, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, and it is how you're representing yourself when you're like, this is another topic, but I have a really strong feeling about commenting meaningfully.
Beautiful. Sorry, she wants to show me her Elsa and Anna.
Frozen.
Yeah, Frozen. Yeah. We'll put it on.
Anna.
You gonna put that dress on? Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. We were just no worries. We were just talking. I was just saying how important I find it. I don't just like posts. I meaningfully comment on things like from my heart. I find that yes, it takes longer. Yes, it is kind of like a part-time job, but it's part of my job. And I don't want to just like a post. I'm always going to say how I feel about it or write a meaningful something. I mean, this is what, I think builds relationships and why, this past year does have a silver lining to me, as horrible as it has been for many, many people, you included. I'm not dismissing that at all, but there has been a silver lining of creating this meaningful bond and connection with people that I would have never had this past year not occurred. Do you feel that way?
We're more online. And in a way, maybe mental health has declined, but my stress levels have gone down at the same time because I don't have to commute anywhere. I don't have an overbooked day. So I can actually have more time to go on Zoom calls and talk to people, listen to podcasts. So this year I've done a lot more connecting. But one thing I want to say about those comments is I just did a podcast last week about my LinkedIn strategy. And I really go against the flow because in my podcast, I say less is more. And this is so not popular right now. Everyone's like, oh, I just hit 1,000, new followers, or I hit 1 million followers. And I understand that it's, my ego gets a little bit boosted too. I'm like, wow, these people are following me, that's cool. But at the same time, when I say less is more, I actually like to engage with people's content. And the more followers you have, or the bigger your network, the more it gets hard to juggle between comments and DMs and just keeping on tap. Who are you? And so when I say less is more, I think you should grow as much as you're willing to put in. So if you're going to be like, well, I just want people to follow me, I don't care who they are, that's not the right strategy.
I agree with you 100%. And I don't know if you saw my post this morning, but like I reached 10,000 followers, yada, yada. But the whole thing I was excited about was that it was all organic. This was not just like clicking to get followers. It was a lot of hard work over the past little less than a year. And I feel like I have a really tight relationship with so much of the community that it's, and I wrote in the post, this is not about metrics. This is about real. It felt so good to reach that because I worked for it and I've grown and built my community as everyone else is. And so I'm not like my milestone isn't like I need to be at 200,000. It's not that. It's like, wow, this is my community. Like this is what we built together. And made me so happy just to have that in front of me. So that was exciting this morning.
Well, you can show your personality and also discover people deeply by their comments. Like the comment section is, I feel, is really key to understanding who. So the two main things is the introduction. Like if you're going to connect with people, personalize your invite, but then also take the time, have a nice little tight intro about yourself. And the most arrogant thing you can say is, well, just go check my profile. Like,
I would.
Why did you even want to connect? Like, a lot of people also have weird titles now. Like instead of putting what they actually do, they have like, kind of a coffee lover /
Right.
I saw one guy like Project Terminator or something. I was like, okay, this is getting complicated. Like, so I appreciate like a DM with an introduction. Yes. And then the second thing is take the time to comment on people's posts. And sometimes I disagree with people. And that's another kind of way I see the difference in people. Like I said, empathetic or judgmental about what I post. Well, if I comment on someone's post with a disagreement, I say like, I respectfully disagree because I've had other experiences and this is my point of view.
Sure.
Oh, yeah? It's up. Come here, let me help you.
And people aren't always going to respond favorably to that because everybody just wants a kumbaya kind of thing. Yeah.
And that's where you can see really quick the ego, because like, unless someone's outright trolling me, then I will call them out. I'll be like, this is really a little bit too far. But most of the time, if someone disagrees with me, I really like to know more. Like, I'm curious. I'm like, really?
Well, you're curious and you want to learn what people think. Alfredo says less is more. Love it. Substantial engagement with network and able to communicate one-on-one with them I 100% agree. I find that the connection with people on this platform is really, really tremendous. And I like, to me, I don't know if this is right, wrong, or indifferent. This is how I do things, but I would rather, when I look at views, I would rather have less views and more engagement and comments with me than have all these views and not have people engaging. Absolutely. Then it's like, great, okay, but this is making an impact.
Well, I've been teaching content strategy to my business clients, and one of the things I teach, well, two things I can share with your audience is, number one, people want to see the real you. So, I just posted in our little group last week, like, questions about yourself. Like, are you a dog owner? Do you have kids? What's your hobbies? Because that's one thing that starts conversations and gets an engagement going. Hold on.
Yeah, it's real. It's your life. It's who you are.
And the second thing is trying to think of topics that are open-ended, where you're asking questions, you're asking people's opinions, so I'm like, would you wait? I can't, because I'm on the call, honey. Do you want me to bring you in there? I'll be right back. She wants me in there. Piggyback.
I'm going to show a couple of comments here. Kirk, it was great to see you. Stay strong. God bless you all. Thank you so much for stopping by. I like to think of everyone here as my tribe. Me too, my brother. Me too. I've never, ever in my 42 years felt more supported than on this platform. That's the truth. LinkedIn user, I can't see who that is. This does this to me sometimes, this private LinkedIn user. And it shows it if you go back on LinkedIn and see, but I can't see it in StreamYard. It takes me forever to find connections because I'm picky. I don't want 100,000 billion. That's true.
Well, you know what? I have a LinkedIn connection policy. And I talk about that in the podcast I put out, because one day I sat down and I exported all my contacts and I deleted 10,000 people.
Wow.
And
I understand.
It took me like a long time, but I filtered them out, then I clicked delete, and then I re-uploaded them. And what I want people to know is that, when we first start here, we're just like, hey, I'm a networker. I want to connect with everyone. That's my style. But the problem with that is people connect for different reasons. Some of them aren't very genuine. Some of them just want to connect with you so they can pitch you something. And I actually have had people immediately disconnect with me when I say, no, thank you.
Wow.
It happens regularly to me, actually, because I do reply to my DMs. I don't ghost people as much as I can.
Thanks, Alfonso. I agree with you.
Yeah. We have to try to give each other opportunities. But if I tell you I'm looking to connect with these 5 types of people and I've got specific criteria, that means that it's diverse enough that my network's going to be interesting, but it's quality. It's not going to be like,
well, exactly. It's going to be quality over quantity. Definitely. Right. Let me ask you this. This is a like monkey wrench question. But I know this happens to you. But how often do you get like soliciting or like over complimentary comments, like talking about your looks or you're being a beautiful woman, or like how often does that happen to you?
Yeah, it happens regularly, and I choose mostly to not get angry about it because the way I see it, Annie, is there's a difference in culture, and in the Western countries, we are very careful about sexual harassment, and so men today are very afraid to compliment women on their looks or even their clothing, anything that pertains to appearance. And in other cultures outside of Western countries, this is very innocent. I don't think that everyone has a bad.
So you have an understanding about that. It's the only thing is it makes me feel uncomfortable, not because I'm objective, like I'm going to get hurt or something. It makes me feel uncomfortable because, and it's actually a trigger for me because that's not what I stand for, and I'm bringing like a lot of value. So when someone concentrates on that, it upsets me.
Annie, I have to say though, in my real work life, I had this problem when I was in my 20s to be told all the time, "You're so cute." At work, they gave me a nickname, Barbie. How would you like to go into work and be called Barbie? And,
I wouldn't.
But it's like, the thing is, people would say like, "Oh, your skirt is so pretty today," or "Your earrings are so pretty." So all the time people would compliment something about me. And you're right that, we want to be known for our work. Men don't have that. Once in a while, someone compliments one thing. But with women, it's a little bit over the top. But I think we just have to kind of choose our battles. So I'm pretty clear about blocking people if they start asking me too much. You want to go offline and be friends? And,
WhatsApp?
Are you married? Are you married? Then I'm like, this isn't appropriate. And I have a standard reply. I'm like, I'm on LinkedIn for business networking. And so I'm not going offline with anyone. So no, thank you. Right?
Yeah. It's just an interesting piece that I know a lot of women deal with.
Yeah. And some women get really upset. And once in a while, I've actually commented on my friends' posts. If I see a comment that's like, you're cute or, something inappropriate, I comment and say, this isn't the point of her post and this isn't appropriate or something, I defend them because I don't like it either.
You're so much, we're very, very similar, like fiercely loyal, like defending people, questioning things. I love it. It's just
reporting. If I see something, sometimes that's another problem with your network grows. So I really try to keep my posts clean, which means I go back and I look at my notifications, and sometimes I get notified for older posts that people somehow found, probably based on a hashtag that I was using that became popular. And I see like, if I catch any inappropriate comments, I'll go back and report them, delete them, and I'll go back and respond to good comments.
Yeah,
so I'm
absolutely.
Ridiculous about this, even long ago. That's why it's hard when you have a big network. But I think it's really important. It's a responsibility if you're going to be producing content regularly to keep up with the comments, right?
Absolutely. It's kind of a job.
The secret is
I enjoy it.
Like the secret is, I would say, a short amount of time, but frequently. So like I'll go on, maybe when I tell people, I'm like, you know what? I don't think I spend more than 30 minutes a day on LinkedIn, except for like a show like this, right? But what I do is I go on, I check my notifications. That takes me about 10 minutes to like respond to comments, like comments, check, then I go to my feed and I scroll through and I like and comment on about 10 posts. And I try to spread it out. So I'm not like liking 5 posts from the same person per day. And then what's the last thing is I post my post of the day.
Yeah.
And sometimes I used to post like twice a day, and now it depends. If I have something really to say, or I just released a podcast, I'll come back and post. But I swear to you, I don't really spend more than 30 minutes a day. And
wow, I can't say the same. I have such a part-time job.
60,000 followers. I have 60,000. I have a weekly newsletter on LinkedIn. I post almost daily, but I swear to you, the whole thing that I do takes 30 minutes a day. The only thing is probably on the weekends, I go back and I go through my DMs and try to empty my inbox, because
I have a real problem with the LinkedIn inbox. I miss stuff, and it's very hard to keep
so messy. So you can't really, there is no good filtering system. So it's kind of like select all and delete them.
Like you do it on purpose to me or something. Yeah.
I'm with you. Why can't you just show me all the unread ones at the top? Like, why can't I filter out,
I know. Krista, we are like already at the end of the show. We had a half-hour show, and I think I don't even know what we talked about everything, but also like nothing. Like we hit on every topic. So it was a little chat fest. I loved it.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy. I would just end my comments by saying that, connections like you is the reason that I love LinkedIn. I don't think that I have found such a thing on other platforms. I mean, I have a YouTube channel, and there are like little YouTube group communities,
yeah,
but it's really hard to just somehow pick people one-on-one and get to know them. And I just feel like on LinkedIn I've made so many genuine connections with cool people. So I don't know about you, but it's, for me, it's LinkedIn. It's like I talk to people who are like really into Instagram, and I like Instagram. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to be more disciplined about doing Instagram, but at the same time, I don't know. I just, you know what I mean?
I just can't get into it the way that LinkedIn is part of my everyday life and job and my community. I said yesterday in a post, I talked about my son, and I said, you guys are my colleagues. Like, this is my office, like when I share something off the top of my head, and I produce something and I show a video and it's off the cuff, whatever, like it's from my heart. And it's because I want to share with my friends. Like I want to share with my community, and I'm excited about it. Like, that's not fake. That's so real.
Oh my God. Well, the coolest part is when COVID is over, like pre-COVID, I actually was able to meet a bunch of people who I met on LinkedIn, because I was traveling, and I went to several conferences like in 2018, 2019. And it's such a cool feeling, because I'm like, I already feel like I know you so well.
Totally.
And now we're like hanging out, and we're having like drinks, and we're like doing something cool together. And so I do think that these, LinkedIn.
I'm sorry, I can't see who it is.
I know. Hi. What if you go to your feed? I'm looking if I can see.
It's usually the person hears me and then writes back, but unfortunately, you're welcome. Great to see you, my friend.
So,
we should do this again, because we obviously have a lot to talk about.
Yes. Well, like I was saying, maybe we can meet up in real life sometime, like with Brian Schulman. He did like what we're doing now. He used his live, and we had a real event.
Oh, and right.
Coming on, and that was so much fun. So I think, LinkedIn can really lead to genuine connections.
Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah.
I loved meeting you and having that chat that day. And then I loved being on the show with you today. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for
Thank you. Just a little girly for me. And enjoy the rest of your day. Come say bye. Wait, come say bye.
Come here. She's so busy. Toddlers are
sweetheart. Bye.
Okay. Oh, she doesn't want to come. Wait.
Wait, I have an outro. Hold on, everybody. Wait 1 second. This is exciting. After this, we're going to be off, but this is the outro. Hold on. Ready? Let's be the best version of ourselves. Just keep learning and evolving no matter what. So here I am, bold, strong, fearless. Let's live fearlessly together. This is real and candid. This is how we live. Share this with a friend and subscribe to Living with Annietude. You, me, us. Let's talk. Let's evolve.